Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. These profound words from Rumi invite us into a silence that challenges centuries of human striving. We are often taught, implicitly or explicitly, that love is something to be pursued, captured, or earned. We embark on grand quests for a soulmate, a perfect career, an ideal life, believing that happiness, fulfillment, and love reside just beyond the horizon, waiting to be discovered or achieved. Our lives become a relentless outward journey, a constant search for the missing piece that will finally complete us, often leading us down paths of fleeting satisfaction and persistent longing. Consider the quiet ache that can persist even amidst abundance, the gnawing sense of something unfulfilled, a deep, resonant echo of absence, even when our relationships are strong, our ambitions met, and our days filled with purpose. This isn't a flaw in our external world, but perhaps a whisper from a deeper place, a part of us yearning for recognition, for connection to something infinitely vast and intimately close. We often mistake this inner whisper for a sign that we haven't found the right partner, the right circumstance, or the right external validation. We double down on our search, convinced that the answer lies just a little further out, a little harder fought. But what if this pervasive human experience of yearning is fundamentally misunderstood? What if the object of our deepest desires isn't something external at all, but rather an intrinsic state of being, a boundless wellspring of love and wisdom already residing within the innermost sanctuary of our own consciousness? Rumi's wisdom suggests a radical reorientation of our entire approach to life's most profound questions. It shifts the gaze from the distant horizon to the immediate, intricate landscape of our inner world. It proposes that the very love we tirelessly seek is not absent, but obscured, not lost, but merely hidden behind veils of our own making. This perspective reveals a profound and often overlooked truth. The greatest expeditions are not geographical, but psychological and spiritual. The most formidable dragons to conquer are not external foes, but the deeply ingrained fears, doubts, and protective mechanisms we have unconsciously erected around our most vulnerable and divine essence. These are the barriers. Rumi speaks of walls constructed from past hurts, societal conditioning, limiting beliefs, and the myriad ways we have learned to guard our hearts against perceived pain or rejection. They are not physical structures, but energetic imprints, thought patterns, and emotional residues that prevent the free flow of our authentic, loving nature. The problem, then, is not a deficit of love in the universe, or a personal failing in our ability to attract it. The problem is an internal blockage, a self-imposed exile from our own inherent divinity. Our task, as Rumi illuminates, is not to chase after an elusive ideal, but to embark on an archaeological dig within the self, meticulously uncovering and dismantling these internal fortifications. It is a quiet, courageous journey into the very heart of our being, a pilgrimage not to a distant shrine, but to the sacred space within our own soul. This journey is not about acquiring something new, but about remembering what has always been there, about rediscovering the boundless love that is our birthright. This is the dance of the soul we are invited to explore together, an intimate, transformative movement away from external seeking and towards an internal unveiling. It is a proposition that the deepest connection to the divine, to love, to true fulfillment, is not found through external rituals or dogmas, but through an honest, compassionate engagement with the architecture of our own inner world. It is an invitation to pause, to breathe, and to consider the revolutionary possibility that everything we have ever yearned for is not out there, but deeply, irrevocably, gloriously within. What if the most profound act of love is simply to remove what stands in its way? The core concept we are now exploring delves into what exactly constitutes this divine interior, and how our engagement with it manifests as the dance of the soul. This isn't merely an abstract notion. Rather, it speaks to an intrinsic, sacred dimension of human existence, a fundamental core of being that transcends the ego, personality, and the transient roles we play in the temporal world. It represents an inherent wholeness, a profound wellspring of wisdom, compassion, and creative potential that is not acquired but recognized. It is the silent, unchanging witness within us, the source code of our deepest intuition and our most authentic self. Consider this divine interior as the very bedrock of consciousness, an animating force that connects each individual thread of existence to the vast tapestry of the cosmos. It is not confined by religious doctrine, nor is it exclusive to any particular spiritual path. Instead, it is a universal human inheritance, a latent capacity for profound insight and boundless empathy. This inner sanctuary is the origin point of genuine inspiration, the quiet voice that guides us towards purpose, and the resilient strength that emerges in moments of adversity. It is the pre-existing blueprint of our highest self, continually broadcasting an invitation to align with its inherent harmony. The dance of the soul then emerges as the dynamic, ongoing process of consciously engaging with this profound inner resource. It is not a static state, but a vibrant, living relationship, a continuous unfolding of self-awareness and expression. This dance involves a delicate interplay of listening and responding, of attuning our external lives to the rhythms and wisdom emanating from our deepest core. It is about allowing this divine essence to permeate our thoughts, influence our choices, and shape our interactions, transforming mundane existence into a sacred art. Imagine it as a nuanced improvisation, where the soul, as the lead dancer, moves with an innate grace and the ego as its partner, learns to follow, to complement, and to surrender to the larger rhythm. Crucially, this connection is not about creating something new or imposing an external ideal onto ourselves. Rather, it is an act of profound remembrance, an unearthing of what has always been present, but perhaps obscured by the clamor of the external world or the conditioning of our past experiences. When we engage in this dance, we begin to perceive a subtle shift in our perception. The world appears less fragmented, our sense of isolation diminishes, and a deep sense of belonging begins to take root. Our actions become less driven by fear or external validation and more by an inner knowing, a quiet confidence that stems from being deeply anchored within our authentic truth. Furthermore, connecting with this divine interior fosters an exquisite sense of interconnectedness, not just with other human beings, but with all forms of life and the very fabric of the universe. It dissolves the artificial boundaries we often construct between self and other, revealing a shared essence, a common pulse that vibrates through all existence. This recognition cultivates an expansive compassion, an inherent understanding of the universal struggles and triumphs that bind us all. It is through this lens that we begin to see the divine not just within ourselves, but reflected in the eyes of every stranger, in the beauty of a blossoming flower, and in the intricate patterns of the natural world. Consequently, the dance of the soul is an invitation to live from a place of radical authenticity and unwavering presence. It encourages us to shed the masks we wear, to release the narratives that no longer serve us, and to step into the fullness of who we truly are. This journey is characterized by a growing sense of inner peace, a resilience that withstands life's inevitable challenges, and a profound joy that does not depend on external circumstances. It is the realization that the ultimate source of fulfillment, meaning, and love resides not in the acquisition of external things, but in the profound and sacred communion with the boundless divinity already dwelling within the silent chambers of our own heart. It is the recognition that we are not merely physical beings seeking spiritual experiences, but spiritual beings having a human experience, with an infinite wellspring of grace perpetually available to us. The conceptual landscape we have traversed thus far has subtly shifted our understanding, not by adding new external elements, but by recalibrating our internal compass. The initial invitation to look beyond the conventional quest for fulfillment has by now illuminated a different kind of terrain. This terrain is not one of acquisition, but of revelation, where the very act of questioning where true sustenance lies has redirected our gaze from the ephemeral to the eternal within. This internal shift is not a passive withdrawal, but an active engagement, a profound recalibration of our most fundamental operating principles. We've journeyed past the familiar horizons of external accomplishment and societal expectation, landing instead in a space where the most significant work is that of internal excavation. The obstacles, once perceived as external misfortunes or personal failings, are now understood as intricately woven patterns within our own consciousness. These are not impenetrable walls, but rather complex, often self-imposed, structures that obscure an already present luminosity. The profound realization is that the essence we yearn for is not a distant star to be reached, but the very light within us, momentarily dimmed by layers of accumulated experience and learned protective mechanisms. This understanding transforms the nature of our striving from a pursuit of the absent to an unveiling of the inherent, a process akin to clearing away dust from a mirror to reveal the reflection that was always there. This unveiling, this profound re-engagement with our deepest core, is not a static state but a continuous fluid motion, an ongoing dialogue between our conscious awareness and that boundless reservoir of being. It's about harmonizing the outward expression with the inward truth, allowing our actions to become resonant extensions of our authentic self. This is where the wisdom of the ages converges, not in prescribing a rigid path, but in inviting a dynamic, personal relationship with the source of our own vitality. The journey becomes one of integration, where the fragmented self begins to coalesce into a more unified and coherent whole, reflecting a deeper universal order. This active participation in our own unfolding is the very rhythm of the soul, a dance not of seeking, but of becoming. The cumulative effect of this reorientation is a profound sense of belonging that transcends superficial connections. It's a quiet knowing that we are not isolated entities adrift in a vast cosmos, but integral components of an interconnected whole. This knowing brings with it an unshakable sense of inner peace, a resilience that doesn't deny life's challenges, but meets them from a place of deep, internal stability. What ultimately emerges is not merely a clearer vision of self, but a more expansive perception of reality, where the sacred is not confined to hallowed spaces, but permeates every waking moment, every breath, every interaction, transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary. It is the dawning recognition that the symphony of existence plays not just around us, but also profoundly within us. Reflecting on this journey so far, we perceive a shift in the very ground beneath our feet. The initial quest has transformed into a profound discovery, the yearning into a recognition of what was always present. We stand at the precipice of a powerful realization, one that invites us to step beyond the conventional narratives of what it means to be alive, and to embrace a more expansive, more authentic way of being. As these insights coalesce, we are drawn towards a final contemplation, a quiet invitation to carry this newfound understanding into the very fabric of our everyday existence, not as a theoretical construct, but as a lived reality. The path forward, illuminated by this internal unveiling, beckons us to consider what it truly means to live from this place of rediscovered wholeness, to embody the very essence that has been patiently waiting to be acknowledged and expressed. We have journeyed together through a profound reorientation, shifting our gaze from the distant horizons of external pursuit to the intricate, luminous landscape within. The quest for love, for fulfillment, for a sense of belonging, often feels like an endless expedition into the world, a relentless striving to acquire, achieve, or attract. Yet the wisdom we have uncovered suggests a radical truth. What we seek is not found by reaching further out, but by diving deeper in. It is the recognition that the boundless wellspring of love, wisdom, and peace we yearn for is not an external reward to be earned, but an inherent luminous essence already resident within the very core of our being. This is the divine interior, not a concept to be intellectually grasped, but a living reality to be experienced and embodied. This inner sanctuary is the origin point of our most authentic self, the silent observer, the unwavering presence that underlies all our transient experiences. It is the source from which true compassion flows, where genuine inspiration ignites, and where an unshakable sense of purpose takes root. Connecting with this profound inner resource is not a one-time event, but an ongoing, fluid engagement, a dance of the soul that transforms our relationship with ourselves, with others, and with the world around us. This dance involves a conscious unraveling of the intricate barriers we have unwittingly erected, the fears, the limiting beliefs, the echoes of past hurts, the societal conditioning that have veiled our inherent brilliance. Each barrier dismantled reveals more of the light that was always there, not new but simply uncovered. To truly live from this place of rediscovered wholeness means to allow this inner divinity to permeate every facet of our existence. It means bringing mindful awareness to our thoughts, aligning our actions with our deepest values, and cultivating a presence that honors the sacred in every moment. When we move through life anchored in this internal truth, our interactions become more genuine, our empathy expands, and our resilience in the face of adversity deepens. The artificial distinctions between self and other begin to dissolve, replaced by an awareness of profound interconnectedness, a shared pulse that vibrates through all life. This is not merely a philosophical concept, it is a lived experience, a way of being that transforms the mundane into the miraculous, imbuing every breath with sacred significance. The implications of this journey are transformative. We cease to be passive recipients of external circumstances and become active co-creators of our reality, guided by an inner compass that points unerringly towards authenticity and grace. The persistent yearning that once drove our outward search gives way to a quiet knowing, a deep contentment that transcends fleeting pleasures. We discover that true power lies not in controlling the external world, but in mastering the internal landscape, in cultivating a relationship with the divine essence that resides within. This shift fundamentally alters our perception of love itself, no longer a scarce commodity to be sought, but an infinite current to be opened to, a natural state of being to be allowed. So the true practice begins now, not in some distant future or in a secluded retreat, but in the quiet moments of your everyday life. It is in the conscious breath you take, in the gentle inquiry into your own heart's resistance, in the choice to respond from a place of love rather than fear. It is in the willingness to sit with discomfort, to observe without judgment, and to patiently, compassionately dismantle the internal structures that obscure your inherent radiance. May this journey be a continuous unveiling, a joyful dance of remembering who you truly are. For in finding and removing the barriers within, you do not merely discover love, you become its living expression, a beacon of the divine light that has always, irrevocably, been you.